All right?
Yeah.
Okay, the stairway, the hall, and the blue room. Now, we're going up the stairs, and as you start up the stairs, there are lithographs, broadsides, paper prints. In fact, in the upper right-hand corner is a Hill Adamson that has never been published, made in 1845. It's a Talbot type. And every single wall has items on it. If you go into the corner, there's a 14-inch, 11 by 14 of a San Francisco studio called Ford's Gallery. Then his Ford himself, and there's his brother, and there's their lithographs, and there's their broadsides. And it's just one wall after another. I have tried not to leave any space. So each one tells a different story. Now we're going to enter the blue room. Can you hear me okay, Bob?
Perfect.
Okay. This is the blue room. And in the blue room, when I was in Spain about 30 years ago, I bought that for my daughter, Lynn, and she never took it out of the house, but it's still yours, Lynn. It's just you never took it. And this is a printer's desk. So we're looking at that right here. And we're going to go in the room, and we're going to open up the top drawer and realize that in it are cases. Now, I've also collected cases, as you know. So we're now going to open up all the drawers and show you that there are over 600 cases in the house. And it just goes on and on. The good ones are up in the attic. These are more pedestrian. Now, we close those drawers. We move over. We close the door. And this is the only place where I keep some of the 20th century or cameras. So if we look in here, oh, by the way, also those are some wonderful broadsides and lithographs and different items of interest. And we're now going to show an M3 Leica plus some extra lenses and a vintage Leica D right here. The Leica that started it all, plus a Haber and Fink rotating turret of a 3A with 35, 50, and 90 millimeter lenses. So there's a full Haber and Fink in its original case, but this was my first collectible. The camera that started me collecting Photographica is right there. And of course, I still own it. I'll take a minute to tell you the story of that. I shot a wedding at Trinity Episcopal Church in Newport, Rhode Island, for a distant relative who had at one time been from a very rich family, but the family had lost their money. And so I shot the wedding for free. And when I brought the proofs and everything to the house, they were so delighted with it that the father of the bride went up in the attic and he said, I want to give you my father's camera. And he brought that down. I put that on a shelf in my house. Pretty soon I took in trade. I'm an automobile dealer, amongst other things. I took in trade a car, and the young man said, my father had some funny cameras also. Would you be interested? And I said, yes. And he said, I'd like some money off of the car if I bring you in a good camera. So he brought me in a very expensive late model Leica, and I added that to the collection, and now I had a collection of two. And every time I walked by that shelf and saw the two cameras, I said, gee, there should be more there. Well, before I finished, there were close to 5,000 cameras. But I did sell 4,900 of them. So, this is 4 little Contaflexes sitting in a row. What does that mean? I like the Contaflex. It was a German camera, over-manufactured, over-engineered, and here's 4 of them, and I don't know why, I just never sold them. And there's the 9 lenses that came with them, and the viewing back, and every accessory that was known to man at that time.
Hey, Matt, how did you sell 4,900 cameras?
Through a man by the name of J. Tepper. I don't sell anything. I have selling agents. I find people, I'd rather pay somebody 25% who knows how to do it and does a good job, and I just go on to do other things because that's really a full-time job. And what I did is I did a book in 1978, and the book actually became the catalog for the first 200 or 300 of the cameras, and the rest just followed suit. And we did notice that any camera that was illustrated in that book brought more money because it was in the book. It's fun.
It was a great book.
Now, compass outfit including the case, tripod, camera pouch, accessory, roll film, and plate bags, plus extra cut and roll film. Yep. Okay.
Right there's a
Now you're back where I was before. That's okay.
Can't point it at the speaker.
I'll try to talk a little louder. Some miniature okay. Some miniatures. These are miniature cameras here. This is the Parker camera. There was only 50 of these made. This is the Kodak Matchbox camera. This is the Krugner pocketbook camera. This is the Stereo Graflex. And this is the Herter and Driffield exposure meter, the first real exposure meter. The Photo Vanity, the Stern Vest, and a Rolly in the corner. So that there still are some of these cameras. Now, why are these cameras here? Because when I sold the other 5400, these were left in a trunk, and they were overlooked. So I took them out and I stuck them in there.
Yeah.
There was no other reason. Now, we're going to go one step further. Again, as we go into the hallway, these are big broadsides. And now we're going down to the door. We're going to open that door, and we're going to walk up into the attic. Now we're walking up the stairs of the attic. Now the real fanatical collector who collects early equipment, and there are 7 of us, they say that that's walking up the stairway of paradise. Because when they get up to the top, that's what the attic looks like in my house. On the left here is mixed up with cameras and a lot of Gold Rush images and Gold Rush items. As you move over to the right side, you get into some very serious cases. This is one of 2 of the only 2 known full-plate mother-of-pearl albacore cases in the world. And that's one of them. This kind is, there's more of these. This is a full plate, but it's a painted case, mother-of-pearl applique painted. But there are only 2 of these. In fact, the other one is in the case a little further down the road. But basically what you're looking at up here is my shrine to De Geer, including letters by De Geer, the 1856 crystallotype of De Geer, the memorial to De Geer's death in ivory, 4 of the De Geer, the 4 colors that the De Geer case, the little 6-plate De Geer case came in. There are 3 original daguerreotype manuals, one in French, one in English, and one in Dutch, I think. And there's all kinds of little items that concern De Geer. Down below that, again, not now, Elizabeth. Okay. Down below that, again, are some other items of the Gold Rush mixed in with, oh, the final last corner is 9 different daguerreotype cameras. Now, I have 25 daguerreotype cameras, and I have about 45 wet plate cameras. So I have 70 cameras that precede 1876. My cutoff date for camera collecting, seriously, is 1876. And here's 3 different sizes of the Lewis type camera, from left to right, the whole plate, half plate, and quarter plate size, all 3 circa 1850s. This is the 3 Boston box type cameras, sliding box, from left to right, the whole plate, half plate, and quarter plate, all 3 early 1850s. This is the 3 different sizes of mercury baths. And now we go back to the back part of the room. We look back down the stairs, and we're now going to walk down the alley towards the front. There's 4 vitrines and storage underneath, 4-foot square storage drawers that pull out. And what we're going to look at here, we realize that we have daguerreotypes on the top, we have items and artifacts and images in here, and then we will get to the front of the room eventually. Let's see if we can do this. We'll start in the first vitrine. And this is vitrine number 1. And we're going to see camera 1, 2, and 3, just so you get an idea of what's in there.
What is a vitrine?
A vitrine is another word for it's a showcase. It's a showcase if it's got more than $10,000 worth of stuff in it. Then you have to call it a vitrine. That's what the museums do. If it's got less than 10,000, the museums say it's a showcase. If it's got over 10,000, they call it a vitrine. Now, the 1956 Voigtlander copy of an 1841 camera, celebrating the 200th anniversary of the firm. The camera took circular daguerreotypes. This series of replicas was made with the serial number 84. Note the circular plate in the plate holder. The lens hood acted as the shutter, and the few hundred replicas that were made by the firm in 1956 were given mostly to persons and companies that Voigtlander did business with. This one came from the Krause family. Today, there are even fakes of the replicas, believe it or not. 1849 French-made daguerrean outfit with developing equipment designed for both daguerreotypes and wet plate images. The manuals that came with the outfit reads, photographs on metal, paper, and glass. You can see that right here, photographs on metal, paper, and glass. And that's a full outfit. This is an early 1841 Godin camera with chemicals, mercury bath, made in France, Paris. Plate boxes, plate vices. The cover cloth acted as the shutter, and the equipment was stored in the rear of the camera box like that. That's the rest of the camera is just this big. The rest of it's just to take all this stuff and put it in there. So now we're at vitrine number 2, or showcase number 2. And we are looking again as we move along. We see I collect anything concerning advertising gimmicks. These were fake bills that we used for advertising. Every one of them was printed by a daguerrean operator. They weren't premiums, they were just printed so that you would pick it up and think that you had. As a matter of fact, this $10 Chase, it looked so good that somebody passed it off in Boston as a real $10 bill. And there was a court case on it. This is the earliest found coin medal. This is a medal concerning photography. It's about it's quite a bit bigger than a silver dollar. It is silver. But it was the 1847 Southworth and Hawes medal for having the best daguerreotypes at the Massachusetts Charitable Mechanics Association. These were little brass decals. They're the size of a gold $10 piece. What they were was advertising. There's the gallery there. You can see the 140 Chestnut Street, like Roots Gallery, and Jacobs of New Orleans. The different companies here. Mead and Broadway. They're all very important daguerreotypists. And they were made by Scoville Manufacturing Company, a brass rolling company that made many of the plates that we used in America. The daguerreotype plates that we used were made in Waterbury, Connecticut, and then in New York City. And it was Scoville Manufacturing. The real thing, this is the reverse of an 1849 US $10 gold piece with an eagle and shield. This is the hook, the reverse of a brass daguerrean token made for Root & Company, New York, with eagle and shield imitating the US $10 gold piece. So when you look at the two of them, if you saw one of those on the ground, you'd pick it up and you'd be reading an ad for Root & Company. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is to tell you to look above at each of the items above it. They've daguerreotypes, and I'm going to take all 6 of them and get in closer. This is a panoramic daguerreotype, since they're extremely rare, amongst the most prized of all the ones of San Francisco taken during the gold rush. The development of the city is frozen in time by this device. Presented here is a 5 half-plate panoramic view of the city, preserved in its original frame. It was taken from a high vantage point. The center plate is obscured or fogged by a black substance, the nature of which is still unknown. But I still bought it with the hope that someday I'll be able to remove that. And even if I don't, I got 4 fantastic panoramic pictures of San Francisco, made in 1851. Now, to give you an idea, getting in close, this is San Francisco Harbor Plate 4. That's the Parker House right here. And that was replaced by the Jenny Lind Theater. So this is 1851. That burned down the following year. You can see it says Parker House right up here. This is the El Dorado Gambling Casino. More money passed across those tables than did anywhere in the world. And there's the Parker House, the Union Hotel, and the El Dorado Gambling Casino at Portsmouth Square, which was downtown San Francisco in 1851 at the height of the gold rush. 3 years later, in May of 1854, this is a half-plate case with unusual viewing device by Vance. And we see what it is. So you look through there and you'd see that view in stereo. That's the same spot, only it had been built up now. Whole plate daguerreotype by J.R. Johnson, Sacramento, of 42 persons in the mining scene at a diverted section on the North Fork of the American River, circa 1851. A whole plate daguerreotype of downtown San Francisco. A whole plate is 6.5 by 8.5 inches, usually in a 7 by 9 inch case. In 1847, Vance was running a small studio in New Hampshire. 7 years later, at age 30, he was operating the largest studio in California, and he died at age 52. This is one of the 3 known photographs of the Capitol of the United States with the original dome on it. This is the Bullfinch Dome. This dome came off in the 1850s, and the one we know today started to go up. Now, this is one of 3. The second one is at the Library of Congress, and the third one is at the Getty Museum. And those are the only 3. Half plate of the Capitol by John Plum, 1846, and it says one of only 3 taken of the Capitol, and it tells you where the other 2 are. This is one of only 2 quarter plate of the President's House, May 1848, during the James K. Polk administration. This image and the preceding one are the only 2 daguerreotypes of either of these buildings in private hands. Now, vitrine number 3. We're going to look at a few things here. There's a wonderful, large book that you open up, and it's got 8 quarter plate daguerreotypes. Vitrine number 4. Above, you see, each one of these is a half-plate scene of a gold rush. We're going to get inside. We're going to look. Oh, well, let's look at this. This is a coloring kit. This is one of the original coloring kits for coloring daguerreotypes. Powder. They used powder. They did not use paint. So that's the type of coloring kit they used. This is a daguerreotype of a man using that kit to color a daguerreotype. So now we take you back and we show you, I like to collect the boxes that these came in. These are plate boxes. Many of them have original plates still in them. And they're different kinds. There's one by White, there's one by Scoville. Each one a little different. Now we're at vitrine number 5. These are, yes? No, please, no, not until I finish. Please. Who else has a wife that tells them what to do? Let me see hands. Oh, great. Okay. I feel better. Okay. Usually I do. Now, this is vitrine 5 and 6 coming around the other side. And we're looking at storage drawers at the bottom. Give you an idea, those storage drawers pull open and there's all kinds of items in them. Vitrine number 5, we're going to show you there are 9 wet plate cameras in there. These are 3 different versions of the Dobroni. Now, the one in the upper middle is the most complete middle-sized Dobroni outfit. I think there are 29 different pieces in there to help make a wet plate. And that's, then here This is the Debroni view camera. It's the only one I know somebody else who has half of one, but this actually makes a 5x7 picture with its own bottle. These made instant photography. This was the first attempt in the 1860s at instant photography. So there's the middle size, the large size, and of course there is the small size. I never got the little one that was the very first one with the glass sides, but I did get the second model, which is this one right here.
How big is the small one?
The small one is about 3.5 inches square. This is called a scenograph, and everything that comes with it is on the inside. These are 4, the one on the upper left, Nick, this camera was made in Ireland. It's the only Irish camera, only early Irish camera I have. These are 4 wet plate cameras, each one different. Vitrine number 6. This is typical wet plate developing equipment. More of these wet plate cameras. Now, to give you an idea how many there are, I stood back and took a picture of 2 of those vitrines side by side, where you can see that there are over 20 some odd just in those 2 cases alone, all prior to 1876, all wet plate. On top are these wonderful daguerreotypes by Southworth and Hawes. And to give you an idea of how beautiful they are,
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
let's take these last 3 and just take a little look at them.
Oh my.
I mean, each one is a work of art. These were mid-19th century American masterpieces. Vitrine number 7. And this is a vitrine that has nothing in it but stereo. Every single item in there is stereo. I think I own 12 stereo wet plate cameras, none later than 1870. And there are 8 of them in there. Here's 5 I pulled out. And the Koch of 1857 and the Dahlmeyer of 1860. This one was used in the Civil War, the John Stark. This is the Ross of 1860, and this is a very famous one, the J.B. Dancer of 1856, because that was one of the earliest. This just gives you an idea from the other side, looking down at those cameras. It sort of is a rather impressive collection of early stereo. The Eagle and other highlights from the front of the attic. The Warren Light Guard of Lawrence, Massachusetts arrived by train to quell the riots in the streets of Baltimore on April 19, 1861, exactly 146 years and 3 days ago. It was the first official action resulting in casualties. 4 soldiers from this company met their death and were returned to Massachusetts, where they were buried with great ceremony. Since there was a large daguerreotype of the first muster of the company, this right here, taken 6 years previously, this eagle was carved as a suitable frame to memorialize first blood before the War of Northern Aggression. Did I get that right, Bob?
Yes.
Before the War of Northern Aggression was over, more than 600,000 soldiers from both sides had died. This is a larger number of casualties than the total of all other American wars before or after. Now I'm going to take you and show you what the daguerreotype looks like in the middle. It is a full plate daguerreotype of the forming of the Warren Light Guard with the Lawrence, Massachusetts mills in the background. I take you in a little closer and give you an idea of the detail that's in this. And it's funny because little did they realize that it was only the trickle of what became a waterfall. We're going to look over here at that. This is another very important piece in the collection. This is 12 images, one of 2 carousels made by William H. Chappell while on board the whaling ship SS Saratoga out of New Bedford, Massachusetts. This was finished in December 5th, 1855, with 4 secret external drawers plus 1 secret internal compartment. 10 of the 12 frames have alternate miniature paintings of seascapes and floral arrangements. Like these are seascape, floral, using brass Daguerrean mats as the retainers. The ivory trim work was made from walrus tusk. The Providence Public Library, in their special collections section, has this man's log in which he wrote every day how he made this, and that's how all this information came from. The ivory trim was made from walrus tusk, and the body of the carousel is made from 4 types of wood. The original reason for its being produced was to make a frame to house the favorite daguerreotypes of his son Willie and his daughter Etta. And that's the daguerreotype of Willie and Etta that is in there. By sliding a silver lever that was between the first and second row of the images, the 12 frames rotated 180 degrees. Let me do that again, you understand? You're now going to rotate these frames and show 12 images. The 12 frames rotated 180 degrees to show the images versus the paintings. The bottom row is comprised of 4 daguerreotypes and 2/4 plate ambrotypes, while the top row is made of 6 plate daguerreotypes.
What's the name of the creator?
Pardon me?
What's the name of the artist?
The name of the man who,
Carver?
the name of the man who built the little carousel was William H. Chappell, and he was on board a whaling ship for 3 years. And the last year he was on board the ship, he made that. It took him 10 months to make 2 of them. He made one for himself, and he made one that is at the New Bedford Whaling Museum for his captain. Because if he only made one for himself, he would have been in trouble. But because he made one for his captain, he didn't have any trouble.
And his log is in Providence.
Pardon me?
But his records of it are
The
in
records of it
Providence?
are in Providence, correct. Now, this is, I happen to have at home photostats of the entire log, which I have from my own research, but the originals are in Providence. So anyway, the top here, let me just do this for you. By turning the top, you open the 4 bottom pieces, so that these 4 pieces, by turning this, go like that. The secret drawer